And from the bottom of my heart, from all the members of Dearborn Heights Police Department, the U.S. Marshals, it was phenomenal work. And we only were able to recover her because of you guys, because of the help that you guys provided to us, and because of the citizens who reached out to us with their tips that allowed us to be able to locate this young woman. At this point, I can elaborate a little bit about an arrest. I can't go into much details because that person is still in custody. We still have some things we have to do before we're able to publicly put out the name and so on. But I can tell you that she was with a 65-year-old Arab male. And this Arab male that she was has no history, nothing at all. Doesn't even have a report documented for any type of crimes in our city or any other cities. The disturbing thing about this individual is when we first received tips that she could have possibly been in this area. We received a tip that said they saw her last in this area near a car wash. Our detectives from Dearborn Heights went out to that location in search for her, and were canvassing the area, interviewing different businesses and talking to different people and trying to find out had anybody seen Tasia. He is one of the individuals that we did speak to at the time who denied seeing her. He denied seeing her, and he is one of the individuals that we spoke to that would not give us information on her whereabouts. I can tell you that she was with this individual since March 17th. And that's all I can tell you guys about him until we're able to get charges on him and until he's arraigned. I really can't tell you much more about him. So I open it up for Q&A, and I'll try to answer the questions as best as I can.
Chief, you mentioned that there was some testing done on her.
Yes.
Can you?
It's a sexual assault kit that was completed on her yesterday. We have not received the results yet.
You used the term well kept. Has she indicated to you that there was any abusive activity beyond the kit and the results pending? Or how, if you can elaborate, she came in contact with this man and decided to stay with him, or was it against her will? Any context?
From what we believe, she came in contact with this man as she was out roaming the streets. And I believe that this man provided a home and some financial means for her to stay within his premises.
Is there, oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask, would you classify it as abusive, meaning he opened his door to her? Was she in any way forced to stay there, coerced to stay there? Any idea?
I don't believe she was forced to stay there. I believe this was a child in need that had nowhere to go, that was lost. She didn't have a telephone. She didn't have a cell phone. He provided her a cell phone to use, but he only allowed her to use it when he was present. If he would go to work, the phone would go with him.
And it sounds like this man was not cooperative, clearly, and this is already a sexual assault and trafficking victim with a massive age difference. What kind of charges are you seeking, or what else can you tell us? Just because maybe he didn't force her to be there, was there a controlling nature to her being there? Can you fill us in a little bit more?
I mean, he was advised of his rights. He lawyered up and didn't want to talk to us about this in particular incident. The charges that we will present to the prosecutor's office will be numerous charges. It could range from 1 to 4, 1 to 10. It really just depends on the investigation and what is provided to Wayne County and what they want to charge him with.
Do you believe there was sexual contact between the two?
I do. I do. Based on some of the stuff we collected at the scene, I believe there was.
So he has declined an interview with investigators?
He does not want to speak with us. He was given his constitutional rights, and he wants an attorney, which is his right.
Have you found any indication that he had met her before this?
We know that on the 17th of March is when she was in his possession.
But any indication whether she had met him before March 17th?
We don't believe that. We don't believe that. We believe that she was just a young lady that was walking the streets that had no money, had nowhere to go, and she came across this man, and this man provided all those services for her.
So they met randomly.
Yes, because the tips that we were getting were putting her in that area. He happens to frequent that area.
And again, forgive me, you said it, and it's where you believe they met on the 17th was where?
It was Joy Road and Inkster Road.
Is there an establishment there of some type, or just where she was walking?
There's an establishment there. I'd rather not say because the business owner has nothing to do with this, but yes.
Is there any chance she'll go back to Vista Maria?
No chance of that. Yeah, my sergeant Sergeant Gondek was right here, and we've had a long conversation about that question you just asked, and we'll make sure that does not happen.
Chief, do we know how she escaped from the facility in the first place, and if so, can you provide some detail?
Well, the facility they advertise it's a locked facility. It isn't. You know, there's juveniles that leave that facility all the time. There's been times where they pull the fire alarm and then they escape through the woods and end up in the city of Detroit. So there could be numerous ways that they get out of that facility, but it's not a locked facility. And since we're on the topic of Vista Maria has reached out to our command staff and is requesting to have a sit down with us that we will provide them sometime next week to find out if we can figure out what's going on over there and maybe involve the state and try to figure out if we can secure the facility so we don't continue to keep having these problems.
Sounds like you're a little frustrated with the state of things there.
Yes, we really are. We really are. There's a lot of problems up there for our officers. We spend too much time up there. There's a lot of citizens in the city of Dearborn Heights that need our services, and most of the time we're up there dealing with their issues.
Can you elaborate? I appreciate the investigation's still ongoing and no charges, et cetera. But when you just referenced Vista Maria right there and said, no way are we going to let her go back there, can you elaborate why? Was she abused there perhaps? Is it just because it's not controlled as you think it should be, or can you give us some context?
I mean, it's definitely not controlled like it should be. We do have some ongoing investigations there, and she's a part of one of them, but there's several other juveniles that we have investigations that are going there that involve staff members, involved other juvenile females that are at that location. So that's the reason why we don't want her there. Plus, we don't want her there because she knows how to get away.
Well, was there a reason she left? Meaning, was she trying to leave and get away from someone?
Without me getting too much into it, there's a possibility, yes.
Chief, where are you at with the individual that you're investigating that's not cooperating? Where are you at with that investigation?
He's in custody. He's in custody. He's here in our station. We have like I said, we've conducted an interview with him, or tried to. He does not want to speak with us unless his lawyer is present. At this point, we document what we have. We try to gather as much evidence as we can, and then we submit our warrant package to the Wayne County prosecutors. And at the end of the day, it's the Wayne County prosecutors that reviews it and comes back with the charges.
One more question from me. When your investigators interviewed Tasia, what was she like? What kind of mood was she in? Was she scared? Was she emotional?
You could just tell she was kind of happy that she was in a safe environment. 16-year-old girl, really, kept to herself. But we really don't go into much detail and try to ask a lot of questions. That's not our responsibility. We just want to make sure she's safe and she knows that we're there for her. At that point, CPS will conduct the kids talk, and they'll do that. The professionals will take over that. Not saying that we're not professionals, but when it comes to kid talks, we're hands off on that. We allow them to do that.
Are you able to share where she is? Meaning, you said CPS custody, but with a foster family, a facility, or if it's appropriate to share where she is now?
Honestly, she's with CPS. I don't know where they have her at.
I know at one point you guys hadn't heard or seen any social media activity, and I know there were fears that she may have been taken out of state, and she was heard to be involved with 2 two other Johns. Have you learned anything else? Just speaking with her, are there any other?
That part we will get to. We're going to have a conversation with her about the two other Johns that she was with. We've identified one of the two already. So there's the first one that we haven't identified. And I think at some point we're going to be able to sit down, have a conversation with her, find out if some of this stuff was consensual or was it forced upon her.
Are they older? Is it could there be charges? I mean.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, the second guy that we identified is in his mid-30s. The first guy that we haven't identified, we don't even know who he is, other than a vehicle and a brief description of the direction he went. We don't have much on the first guy.
What's your reaction just to this girl and what she's been through? And
I mean, I was excited yesterday when I found out that they were able to get their hands on her. It really was. It was a good day for us. I mean, the Dearborn Heights Police Department has been working like it's 24/7 on this, along with the United States Marshals. Without the Marshals, there's no way we could have been able to do what we did yesterday. It was a team effort. You know, the Marshals are just not the Marshals. They have other local jurisdictions that are involved with the Marshal, the state police, local jurisdictions that are assigned to their task force units. It was a great team effort, but it was really the members of the Dearborn Heights Police Department Detective Bureau who led this investigation, who was out there. One of my sergeants recently came in the room because I gave him a different assignment. And then he got upset that I gave him an assignment when I knew he was looking for the missing. And then he was like, hey, Chief, I'm trying to find this missing. Could you allow me to put this on hold for a minute? And yeah, I did. But I mean, these guys took away from their family. There's one of our lieutenants had soccer practice. He's a soccer coach. He ended up forgetting that he was coaching because he was out there looking for this, for Tasia. So these guys spent a lot of their time, neglected their family to find Tasia, and it was a great outcome for us. Phenomenal job by the members of this department.
Following up on that question, though, and I have not followed this story as closely as others, but what I'm after is we hear a lot about human trafficking.
Yes.
I'm interested from your perspective where you sit now. I mean, from what I'm piecing together, if she was a potential sexual assault trafficking victim, ends up at a facility where potentially she was abused again, out on the street, encounters a 65-year-old person who potentially abuses her again. I mean, when you look at that in the broad context, it sounds like somebody who's fallen through. It makes one wonder, not to assess blame, where family has been, those types of things.
Yes.
What is the story here culminating with her being found following this latest disappearance?
Yeah, I could tell you that she has a history of running away. So, I mean, for me to sit here and judge her family, I really don't know her family.
Fair enough.
I could read on paper what she's done in the past, but it would be wrong for me to sit here and judge her father, her mother, anybody like that, her uncles, because I really don't know what's going on in the home. I could just tell you about her.
But should we not infer that she has been abused throughout, prior to, potentially at the facility, and then again, potentially here?
Yeah, I agree.
Or should we not be making this type of connection?
No, you can make that connection. That's why we have the kids talk. That's when the truth will come out. Those are the professionals. Those are the ones that sit down and have the right tools in front of them to get this young woman to confess to some stuff that's been done to her or some stuff she's done consensually. Like I've told you before, it could be sexual, it could be consensual, it could have been forced upon her. If we sat here today, I mean, look at the optics. You have a 65-year-old man who's got a 16-year-old girl in his home. I mean,
16-year-olds can't consent, though.
Does it sound consensual? Does it sound like...
But teenagers cannot consent by law, correct?
If you're 18, correct, you can.
She's not 18.
She's not 18, yes. So, yeah, she was basically held, without her consent.
But to be clear, and I'm not trying to grind it, a 16-year-old cannot consent.
No, she cannot. She cannot. But
and I think what he's getting at is she's especially vulnerable, being this sexual abuse victim, trafficking victim already.
yes. But I've told you before. I told you at the last press conference. It appeared from the video that the individual who drove by, who we call a John, didn't drive by and just stop and begin a conversation with her. There was some indication from her to him to stop. Now, was she trying to obtain some money, a ride? Did she think it was her uncle? Did she think it was someone she knew? We don't know. But it wasn't like he drove by, he stopped, rolled down his window and said, hey, get in the car. There was some signs from her like, hey, I'm available for a conversation.
Can you clarify when you found her, was there any option whether she had a choice to go with police or stay with this man, or by law are you required to take her out of that situation?
No, by law, we're required to take her out of that situation. Did she have a choice to leave? I can tell you, based on the stuff that I've read the last couple of days, that I believe that she could have left, but I believe she was scared, and she didn't leave. One of the things that we did find at the home was a wish list that was written out by her, and some of the stuff that was written by her was that she wanted to move out of state, she wanted to buy a car, she wanted to get a job, and there was a person that was involved that might have been her boyfriend that she might have wanted to meet up with again. So she had a wish list. She was writing things down. It wasn't like she was tied up in the basement and anything like that. She was free to roam the house. You know, there's times where they went out in public, got in the car together, drove to Myers, drove to a restaurant to eat. So she's, you know, it's hard because you sit here and wonder, like, we've been looking for you for almost 3 weeks. You know, you had a phone, you never reached out. What was promised to you? What were you know? What was she scared of? You know, why wouldn't she reach out to us? And that's the stuff that we will find out.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for the tips.
One more question. Do you have any estimation for when you'll be presenting this case to the prosecutor's office?
Well, we have 48 hours to present. If at that point, if we don't have 48 hours, we can ask for an additional 24. So we have 72 hours. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think we're going to be able to gather enough information to even present to the prosecutor's office when it's got to go. I guess so.